Okay, thank you for joining me here in this presentation. Super excited for what we're going to cover today. I'm going to try and package everything up that I've learned in the past year or so from just taking a total dive into the digital marketing industry, right? So I've actually had some pretty cool experiences. I've gotten to work on everything from enterprise accounts spending $20,000 a month all the way down to local accounts spending $500 or less. And it's just given me a huge variety of experience, and it's exposed me to some of the top people in the industry, shown me some of the best strategies, the best tools, and I just want to package all that up and deliver it to you today. So before we get started with any of the details, I do want to share a little bit of my story so you can see where I'm coming from. So this next slide here is a bit of a collage from my time working with Blitz Metrics. You can see Dennis right here on the left. He's the guy who runs Blitz Metrics, and then Dave here is who I would later do the startup with. But yeah, it was a ton of fun. You can see we took the tour of the GoDaddy office in Phoenix, and then we had dinner on the coast in San Diego. This is me shooting some videos at like 3 a.m. in the hotel in Dallas, preparing for the meetup the next day. And then I did get the chance to present on my own at Growth Marketing Conference, which was a super cool experience. Got to meet some awesome people there. So this was my time with Blitz Metrics. This more or less sums it up. Ton of awesome people I got to meet, big accounts, big conferences, big names. And then Dave and I decided that there was a ton of opportunity in the local business niche, doing like service businesses like window cleaners and pressure washers, especially because he already had the audience that we could talk to. So we got together and started this marketing startup called A-Tape Data, and we worked really hard to get it off the ground before we went down to New Orleans for a conference where we would basically kick the whole thing off. And so these are a few pictures from that time. Us presenting to the business, a room full of business owners, me riding the bull on my 21st birthday because my 21st was in New Orleans, so that was a ton of fun. And then we're walking down the street here with everyone, and everyone has our shirts on, which actually is a funny thing. So if you're ever going to a conference or any like event over the weekend with your company, print some shirts, make sure they're soft, and hand them out, because people will wear them and they'll be like mobile billboards for you. It was awesome. We actually did, I believe, land a client from someone seeing the shirt. So in case you want some like totally guerrilla marketing, that's a fun way to do it. But this pretty much sums it up. I've been in a ton of cities. I know Minnesota isn't a city, but Minneapolis. And I've gotten to go to conferences, I've networked with the top people, and it's been just a totally invaluable experience. And one of the most badass things I saw was this motorcycle. This is actually the GoDaddy motorcycle they have in their office. I guess they call it their flagship office because they like to show it off. And well, here it is, being shown off. But I do want to share with you one of the coolest things that I was exposed to. Was actually this community of Gen Z entrepreneurs online. There are a ton of people my age, 20, 21, younger, who are coming into the digital world and killing it as Gen Z marketers. And the reason I want to talk to you about them is because they're using social in a way that I think everyone should, and that I think everyone would be better off if they did. So the first guy I want to talk to you about is Jesse K. Jesse K is a pretty interesting dude. I mean, he's killing it, but it's pretty interesting to watch what he's been able to do, because he started his podcast, I believe, about the same time that I left for social media marketing world last March. So Jesse is in high school, but has networked himself all the way straight to the top of the marketing world, and is basically a marketing manager at Steiner Sports, which is a pretty, I think it's a moderately big sports company. And so he is just totally on fire. Let me show you some of the people he's gotten to talk to. Right, so here's Jesse, high schooler, who started less than a year ago, and there he is with Gary, and there he is with Grant Cardone. And this is not like he snuck into Gary's office or anything like that. They are actually taking time out of their day to hop on an interview with Jesse and talk to him, right? It's a huge thing. And well, I guess the question would be, how did he do it? And we'll talk about that in a minute. But wouldn't you like to have interviewed Gary or to have interviewed Grant by, month 9 of your effort? So there's another dude, Caleb Maddox, who's a super interesting, I'm gonna say case study, because he's 15, and you can see the titles that he has next to his name, right? Author, CEO, speaker, top 20 motivators, featured in Forbes, and the Huffington Post, and Inc., right? So how the heck did he do this by being 15, right? 15, some of us were still freshmen in high school and wondering what the heck was going on. So, look, he's gotten like a legit picture with Tony Robbins. Now this is his dad. I think his dad was a major influence on him because I think he does some of the same kind of motivational speaking stuff. But that aside, he does have over 215,000 people following him, and he's 15 years old. So I'm sitting here wondering, where the heck are my 215,000 followers, right? That would be insane. Now, there are a ton of these entrepreneurs, so let's go into this slide real quick. Nope. Alright, here we go. So these guys are all my age or younger. Adam Silverman does personal branding and marketing. Mahak is a video marketer who's very talented. Ishan, actually I got to meet out there, works for the Mark Cuban companies and has been doing so since he was in high school. And then, yeah, all these guys, digital marketer, Manu's personal branding, I think, and a little bit deeper in finance and getting startups off the ground, but still, this is a community of people. They're not all individually killing it, I guess is the point I want to get across to you, because they all know each other and they all interact with each other, they all promote each other, and for that reason they basically share one big audience, one big community that they all are there to serve. So look at this. So there's Jesse, and then there's Caleb, and you can see what this did for Jesse, right? So because Jesse's a Gen Z dude coming up, trying to make his way, Caleb's got a little bit bigger audience, he's probably super hyped to see another guy coming up and doing what he's doing. So they hop on a Facebook Live, and Jesse gets almost 12,000 views, right? Wouldn't you like to hop on a Facebook Live and get 12,000 views in like 30 minutes? Imagine what you could do with 12,000 warm eyes. So it's just totally nuts. But they all do this, right? They're all interacting with each other, they're all promoting each other. Josh isn't on the slide, right? But he's got a 17,000 person community, badass marketers and founders. And here he is just totally promoting Mahak, and just saying how legit she is and like giving her some credit for what she's been able to do. And then here's a post from Ishan where he's got some of these guys tagged, right? He's got Mahak tagged and Manu tagged, and it's just a perfect example of how you should use social media, right? So there are basically three main things that I want to say about all these guys. The first thing is that they're all super busy. Like Ishan is a freshman at UC Berkeley, right? But he also still runs his personal brand and works with the Mark Cuban companies on projects. So he's balancing it. I know that all these other guys have a ton of stuff, but despite the fact that they're busy, they're all still investing manually, like personally doing all of their content, all of their stuff on social, and I think that that's one of the main keys for what most people are doing wrong these days. A lot of people just want to pay like a content writer to write for Google, and they'll rank on for search results and stuff because it's loaded with keywords and this, that, and the other thing. But I mean, if you're gonna be on social, you can't just post dry content like that to your page and expect people to see it. So investing in your own content consistently is a big deal. And then the other thing is that when they post content, like I just said, they don't just see it as a way to just push their message, right? They're not just like posting it to their profile and letting it sit. They're actually going out there and doing things like this. I mean, they're tagging their friends, other people, other professionals that they're connected with. They're featuring them in interviews. They're going out there and promoting them, saying good job, being super hyped about what they're doing, along with what they're doing, with they're doing themselves, and it's really meant to be that way. Social media is a conversation. It is not just a distribution channel, right? And somehow when we start thinking about social media from a business perspective, we forget that you're actually supposed to go talk to people. And the third thing I want everyone to realize is that these guys all have legitimate businesses, right, that they run. It's not just a personal brand, right? They're monetized personal brands, because their personal brands are actually how they are promoting their business and how they're connecting with their customers and all that kind of stuff. So with that in mind, that does bring me to two major things that I think handicap most people's social efforts, right? And the one is that they just don't invest in content. Video is huge right now. A lot of people are too afraid to get in front of the camera, but doing video is good. It gives people a face to connect with, to interact with, and it gives them a narrative, a story, if you can be consistent in who's in front of the camera. And no one treats social media as a conversation. Most people are doing exactly the wrong thing, which is just posting to your page and never touching it ever again. Maybe they'll like tag somebody in it, but it doesn't really do anything. And that's because you actually have to go out there and talk to people. And it's easier if your company brand or your personal brand is a familiar face, or if it is basically you do want to have a person, not just like the logo or the company out there talking to people. So that will bring us into our next step, but I do want to show you what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about personal branding, why I think that's important, and the effects it has on your company brand, how to build influence on social, and some cool tricks that you can use to influence not only the other audiences of some people doing similar stuff in your industry, but how you can actually influence the news media if that's something that you're trying to do. Audience building and client acquisition, and then some tools that you should definitely know about. I want you to leave this presentation obviously with the map of the social landscape, strategies, tactics, tools to use, people and resources to follow, and the impression that I'm a fun dude. So let's go ahead and talk about personal branding and why that's important to understand even from a company perspective. So Tai Lopez caught the trend in 2012, 2013, where he thought that personal branding on social media was going to be a big deal. So he started working really hard on his YouTube brand, which is what I believe he's most famous for. And since then, he's made tens of millions of dollars capitalizing on the social media opportunity, and has started a few companies from it and really just wrote it home. And to this day, I think that he is probably one of the most successful people in monetizing a personal brand. So he's a guy that I like to study what he does, not so much what he says. And but I think he's exactly right. So this personal branding thing really started, I think, back in the 80s when cable networks were getting big and CEOs had to be celebrities, not just business people. So we ended up with companies like this, right, where I don't have to tell you who these companies are. Right? It's just a given. And just like these faces, I don't have to tell you what companies these faces are. And we see this now today in the digital world, right? So that's Tai up there on the top left. We all know that Rand Fishkin is Moz. A lot of us will know that Molly Pittman is digital marketer, and that Larry Kim is WordStream, and that Gary Vaynerchuk is VaynerMedia. So they're all giving their audiences a familiar face to relate to. Someone to have a conversation with instead of a company simply just there to listen to. So personal branding is key, and there are always a few common elements on personal brands, right? So the one main thing that I think it does is it gives your audience a familiar face to relate to. Every personal brand needs to focus around some niche topics, not too many, not well, you really can't have too few, right? But just not too many, because you become less trustworthy if you talk about too many different things. If you're just out there talking about personal branding, and then you're out there talking about fitness, and then you're out there talking about cooking, and then you're out there talking about lawn care maintenance, it's just like people don't know what your thing is, and so they don't know what they're going to get from you, and so it's really important from that perspective. And also because managing that many different topics and trying to get content for all of that and talk to all the other influencers in those industries would be totally nuts, right? It's just like not doable. It would be so manic, so hectic. So a lot of us are familiar with trying to niche down anyway, so we won't beat that one to death. But the other thing I want to say is that you should just focus on social platforms where your customers actually are, right? I think the big three right now are LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Instagram and YouTube and Snapchat and these other social media platforms I think are secondary, especially Instagram if you don't take a lot of pictures or videos, simply because Facebook required Instagram, and if you're just going to run ads, you can always just run it from your Facebook page to represent you on Instagram. But point being, don't feel like you have to do everything all at once, because that because then nothing might ever get done. Manual effort is important for a personal brand and for a company brand. You actually have to have someone in the office who knows the stuff, who is the face of your company on social, talking to people, going in groups, seeing what's going on, just posting some friendly stuff on the different platforms. And I'm going to show you later what some of this content actually looks like, right? But a lot of you aren't going to like my next point, but the time has come where you have to get in front of the camera. Video has so many benefits. It's so good in terms of the results it brings, in terms of the boost it brings in revenue, conversions, search results, that you simply have to do video, and you should probably try and do them pretty consistently. And that does bring me to the last point, which is you have to be consistent and authentic, which means that the person who is the face of the company actually has to be the person posting, or at least all the posts have to be their words. What Gary Vaynerchuk does is he walks around doing his thing, running his business, and every moment of his day is filmed. And what they do is they just cut all those video segments up into daily vlogs, and then quotes from those vlogs turn into tweets. If he sits down to talk about something in particular, that gets transcribed into an article, which then they pull from to do tweets, which then they can distribute on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere, right? So you don't have to do that, but things definitely get easier if you take his approach, where you're documenting and not creating on separate time. The goal of your business should be that the things you're doing are interesting and useful enough to your audience that you can just document what you're doing day to day, and it'll provide value and entertain your audience. So let's go ahead and keep going. When you have your personal brand, you have entered into a online ecosystem of other influencers, of other people paying attention, and it's all centered around these topics, right? So that's why I said your niche topics. But this is what it looks like. Obviously, around any topic, entrepreneurship in this case, there are people with big audiences, and then people with a little bit smaller, and then micro influencers around that, and then there are just people who are online to pay attention. And so you do need to understand this, because when you have your personal brand and your company brand, you should break into the ecosystem and become a part of the community and start talking to people. And there are a number of reasons to do that, but the main reason is that you can piggyback off of all their audiences and all of their momentum to take advantage of what someone else who has already put in all the effort has done, right? So this is a nice clean way of looking at it. You can also think of it as a pyramid where the micro-influencers are at the bottom and the big dudes are at the top. But when you get online and you start talking to people, it feels a little bit more like this, where topics overlap. You're not sure who is in what circle or who talks about what thing, because it's just totally nuts. You just see whatever the algorithms tell you to do, or whatever you happen to look up, right? So there are some ways to find influencers, to find people that already have audiences, and so there are some useful tools for that. The first thing you can do is just join groups. You can search for keywords that are related to your topic on Facebook. You can search Google. It's, like all the organic stuff that you can do, right? But BuzzSumo and CrowdTangle in particular are some pretty badass tools that'll help you find where people are paying attention to your topic, right? So BuzzSumo, has anybody used BuzzSumo before? Because if you haven't, you should. You can come on here, type in a keyword. We'll do entrepreneurship, and it will show you where all, so you have to pay, I think, if you go shorter than a year. Yeah. But it'll show you where people are paying attention, right? So at the very least, you can see even the publications that are talking about entrepreneurship. They get a bunch of engagement. So Business Insider, this Jay-Z one, is pretty good. May is a little more current. PayPal. But anyway, yeah. So you can do this. You can find some good publications. It'll tell you where to pay attention. And then the other thing that you can do. Well, let's see if we can do it from here. Let's go to this Business Insider one. And then you can use CrowdTangle to see who the top fans of this were. So let's go ahead and click on CrowdTangle. What CrowdTangle does is it loads all the social interactions and breaks it down. And it'll show you who the people were with their comment and then the link to their social post. Okay, so we've got a bunch of the Insider brand referrals. Let's find a person. Alright, Kevin Harrington shared this post, 163 interactions. That's pretty good. So that's really cool. So Kevin Harrington obviously has a big audience, right? And so we can just click this, and it'll take us straight to the post that he put up sharing this. So here it is. Right there, you can see all the engagement, and we can see how many people are paying attention to Kevin Harrington, and it is a ton of people, almost 105,000 people. So he is one of the big influencers, right? So we would probably try, if we were just starting out, to find someone smaller than him. But you can, right, because CrowdTangle will take you all the way down. But this is a super cool way. So you can do that from BuzzSumo articles, or if you are looking for something more current to see who's getting the engagement right now, you can just go to the publications where you think your audience is paying attention, and then hit CrowdTangle. Any second now. We'll wait for it. Can you believe that? 549 shares. That's a lot. That's so many. You don't see a lot of articles where shares are higher than just the post reactions. So, I mean, the same thing's going to happen, but you can basically just do more current articles, right? So this is from not too long ago, November 6, 2017. And that's just a way to stay current. So those tools will point you in the right direction, right? And once you have found your audience, there are some things that you should do to get in front of them. Or, sorry, I shouldn't say audience, I should say influencers. There are things that you can do to get in front of them, right? So some of you have been around for a while, you already have connections. You can do features, right, for your articles, where you can write up a case study or a long opinion piece, and if you know someone at, one of the companies with a pretty good blog with a lot of readers, you can just send the article to them, say, hey, can we run this on your site? We always promote it with our own money. Let me know what you think, or something like that, right? That's a pretty good way to just get featured on some of these articles, especially if you're already respected in the space and people would definitely value your opinion, your content on their site. The other thing you can do is interview other influencers that are in the same industry as you or similar industries, because when you get an interview, obviously you're basically just stealing their audience to a degree. I think that's what Jesse benefited from in that video with Caleb that I showed you earlier, where he got 12,000 views. Quote tweets are good. I call them quote tweets. Really, they're just shares. You can share to your company page, you can share to your profile, with a little bit of your own opinion. I like to do yes ands when I share stuff online, because when you share it to your page and you say, yes, you're right, I agree with you, and there's this other piece of it that you might not have considered yet, people love that, and it shows that you value their opinion, but also that you have a degree of your own expertise. So that's a pretty lightweight way to start engaging with other people. Promotions, you can be really shameless about it and just be like, top 5 entrepreneurs, under 25 or whatever, and then just tag the people that you want to start networking with online. That is totally shameless, but it would totally work, especially for smaller influencers who are totally hungry for any kind of mention, any kind of recognition, and then they would be very likely to return the favor. And then case studies and long opinion pieces are the 2 things that perform well on social no matter what. So if you're looking for content to create, those are 2 good places to start. Now, when you get featured, when you get an interview, you shouldn't just, do the Facebook Live and then leave it on your page, right? That's a mistake. You shouldn't leave it at that. There's more to be done. When you really want to steal someone's audience, you need to do this $1-a-day trick, right? So it's what to do after you've been featured or interviewed or whatever. So let's say you got an interview with another marketer in your space, and that was good. You got a few thousand views from it. Both of you are happy with the results, but you're not taking full advantage until you have the post on your page, and then you boost that page. Well, I shouldn't say boost. You promote that page post to their audience to capitalize on it, right? So you just run it for like $1 or $2 a day to their audience, and it'll get some engagement. It'll build you as an authority. It'll get social proof because it has someone that they take seriously in it. And then once it has social proof, you can use it in other campaigns, that same page post, to talk to your audience to show that you have some authority, some credibility, right? Because people judge authority by association. One of the major ways that people do that. So if you can get interviews with these other influencers, with other people who know what they're talking about, and then promote that to your audience with social proof, that is awesome. That is like exactly what you're looking for. So it's just this game that you play, right? If like an article that you wrote gets picked up in a publication, share it to your page and then promote it back to people interested in that publication, plus the relevant interests that pertain to your business. So there is actually a really great example of this happening. Let's see, it was Isaac Irvine, pages. So the video pinned to the top of Isaac's page right now is one of him and his son Bodhi. You can see here his son's getting bullied at school for his long hair, to donate to kids with cancer, and he just wanted to talk to him to keep his spirits high, to encourage him that he was doing a good thing. And you see this video shot just like right there in the bathroom. But what's super interesting about this is that Isaac posted this, I think originally just to the page, and he asked some of his friends in the neighborhood to comment on it, to give Bodhi some encouragement, fight off the bullies, make him feel better. But he got lucky because obviously bullying and then donating to kids with cancer and like there were just a ton of super emotional topics. So it got a ton of engagement, a ton of social proof, and the local news picked it up. And that could have been it, right? Isaac could have left it at that. That could have just been the end of that ball rolling. But he didn't leave it there, and he was smart. And what he actually did was, it got featured on the local news, so he shared it to his page and then promoted it back to people who watched that news station, right? And that got even more social proof. And once that had, enough social proof, he promoted it to bigger news companies, right? Because why the heck not? They're all looking for stories to run. This is a perfect feel-good story, and it caught on. It caught on like wildfire, right? It was nuts because it got featured on all these bigger news stations, and then all the even bigger news stations wanted it. And so this thing ended up getting like 72 million views for not a lot of money, right? I know how much money was spent on this thing, and it is probably a little bit more than your car payment every month. And it got 72 million views. It got picked up by BuzzFeed, by CBS, by tons of other publications with millions of followers. And what that did for Isaac was it got him on stage at conferences. It made him an authority in personal branding. Now he can sell courses on personal branding because of the major success he had. So it's a good game to play because you only need to win once. Now let's go look at Mark Lack real quick. This is another guy that I met while working at Blitz Metrics. I think he came through the company too and worked with Dennis, and he has been killing it ever since. He's got this personal brand where he actually teaches personal branding, right? So he got this interview with Tai Lopez here, and this is a super interesting video for a number of reasons. And I want to first call your attention to the date on this post, right? May 5th, 2016. 2016, right? We are coming up on 2018, ladies and gentlemen, and this is still the pinned post at the top of his page, and it is still getting tons and tons and tons of engagement. And part of that reason is because Tai Lopez basically has all of his fans addicted to him, but it's also because this was a super smart move. He got the interview with Tai, and instead of just letting it sit on his page as a post that would decay and never be seen again, he pinned it to the top of his page. And who does he promote it to? Who do you think he promotes it to? It's fans of Tai Lopez. And it's just a few dollars a day, right? If that, so that he doesn't, wear out the audience with this piece of content. But, just a few dollars a day, and it continues to drive results. He continues to get business from this. Website hits because of this video, because he is there sitting next to Tai, so he must be an authority figure himself. So that's some examples of the $1-a-day trick, right? Now, it's not all the time that you're going to get engagement on your stuff right away. You can also, so there are a couple things you can do about that, right? If you're writing, trying to intentionally go viral, you need people that disagree with you, right? I saw a chart someone put up the other day, and it was like 25% of your audience has to completely disagree with what you're saying, 25% has to completely agree, and then 50% has to just be like along for the ride. So obviously you can't always calculate that, but you can always put people at odds so that you get the most engagement, right? Because then you get the conversation, then you get the shares, then you pull people in to start arguing online, which is like exactly what you want. Because when people start arguing online, they really go for it. And the more engagement your post gets, the more views it's going to get, the more shares it's going to get, the more reach it has, tons of social proof. And then once it has that social proof, you can promote that same post to news companies, to outlets that you want your content featured on. And all of that is just like this big circle, this big cycle of you getting more influence, of you building your audience, of you looking like an authority figure. But that said, this is like not the only thing that you should be doing to capture your audience's attention, to build your brand online, right? So we're going to talk about some more some more advertising examples, some other stuff that you can use for yourself and for clients if you're managing them. But the general philosophy with everything that you do on social needs to be this: value and entertainment means results. And the reason that this is the case, right, is when you think about what that Gen Z group was doing, they were providing tons of value. All they do is educate, entertain, and then somewhere in the middle of it all, they do leads and sales and loyalty. They're almost never ever hard selling, right? They just go out there, they talk to people, they meet people, and they're like, hey, you're doing this, that looks super cool. Do you need any help with that? Or, here's a super useful article. Somewhere in this article is linked a lead magnet that leads you to a tripwire to my core product. And that's how it works. And Gary Vaynerchuk actually wrote about this in like 2013. He was way ahead of the curve because he knew that the new selling was educating, and that since then that has been like what everyone is doing, right? You get on social, if you engage with anything digital marketing, I'm sure you see it all the time. People are telling you about this Facebook hack or that Facebook hack and how it can improve your business, and they're going to give you everything for free, completely totally for free, but that lead magnet leads to an upsell, and they want you to buy their product because they know what's going on. And it works. And Gary calls it jab, 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 right hook, right? Give, ask. and it's a philosophy that you need to adopt. So take this as one of the main pillars of doing anything on social, is you have to provide value and you have to entertain before you do anything else. So now let's talk about some of the different principles that you need to keep in mind. Video is huge. Video is absolutely a big deal. If you're going to choose any one form of ad to use, it's going to have to be video. So you can see the stats here. This is from a WordStream article. Links at the bottom. But viewers retain 95% of a message, right, as opposed to 10% when they watch it in a video. It makes landing pages rank higher in search results. It increases ROI, increases conversions, and native videos on Facebook, right? So that's an important point. The two ones here, 85% are watched without sound, and native videos have higher reach. You need to upload your stuff directly to Facebook. No more of these YouTube links to other stuff. I know it takes a little bit longer, but people won't watch your YouTube link. It won't happen. It's not going to work. And you need to have them all captioned, which is why I like to keep mine under 3 minutes, because Facebook will auto-caption your videos if they're under 3 minutes long. And generally, you don't need a video longer than 3 minutes, especially because people are moving so fast on social media. Now, there are some people that disagree, but we'll get to that. The second thing you need to keep in mind is that your landing page has to match the ad, right? So, well, you could say more that your ads have to match the landing page. You think about what your offer is, how you're going to sell it, and what the design and the images are that you're going to use. All of this is key because people need to feel that continuity when they're moving around the internet. That's why home pages are a terrible, terrible place to send traffic. That's why so many landing pages, I think, don't convert. That, when I was working with A-Type, when I was working with Blitz, it's the main problem I think that people have, is that the funnel breaks down because the site isn't matching what they're trying to sell. So, huge thing. This is why I recommend lead pages. It makes it super easy to create templated landing pages that you can drag and drop, edit the text, make it match whatever you need. But yeah, I mean, digital marketer calls it ad scent, and that link is at the bottom right there. But these are the three main criteria that they say have to match between the ad and the landing page on your site. So, educate and entertain. We talked about this already, but here are some examples of an authentic post. This one is from Josh, and then this one is a super cool article from Josh on how to influence local. So, here we go. If you want to read this, you can pause the video. It just talks about being authentic, about being yourself, and about why that's important on social. So go ahead and pause and read if you want. The second post here is from Josh, where he's talking about nothing really educational or business related, but he's giving people a narrative to engage with, right? He posts a lot about the struggles he had starting his company and the journey that he's been on to get to where he is today, and people love it, right? This is a dude that gets millions of impressions on social, on LinkedIn in particular, because of the way that he writes. He's a masterful copywriter. So even just talking to your audience about your company's history, about your story, about any challenges that you've faced works. Okay, it totally works. I'll scroll for you if you want to read this one. So here's this, you can pause, and then here is the rest of the post if you want to pause. And then note the engagement at the bottom of the post, right? Like almost 1,800 likes. That's a ton. That is a ton of engagement. And then somewhere along the way he does stuff like this. He does these super educational posts, right, where he just runs through exactly what he does to do cool things like taking over a city with meetups. So actually, if anyone wants to use this article, you should look it up, because it's how to automate basically hyperlocal membership funnel. But yeah, so I highly recommend looking this up. So this is the philosophy that you need to have online: is be transparent, be yourself, tell your story, and educate, right? It is just giving and giving and giving. Knowledge is free, time is money. And there's nothing like giving away all of your dirty little secrets to make people realize that they really don't want to have to learn all of that. So that is the approach to take. So now let's talk about the actual video strategies that you should use. There's some debate about what works the best, right? If you're going to run ads with 15-second videos, with 1 to 3 minute videos, or with the super long guys that are 5 minutes and longer. But there are reasons for all of them. There are reasons not to use all of them. 15 seconds, you can use all placements. It's common in e-commerce. There's an ad I do want to show you in here where they're demonstrating how a software product works with a GIF. But 15 seconds is mainly awesome because it's long enough to retarget with 10-second video views, but short enough that you can use them on all placements. 1 to 3 minute videos, you can provide some more education. They're longer without being too long, in my opinion, and Facebook can auto-caption them, which is a huge deal. You don't want to have to spend time captioning. Now, I know that there are a ton of tools, but Facebook's thing is free, and it takes the least amount of time, I guarantee you that, because all you do is click a button and the captions appear within 24 hours. The 5 to 20 minute long videos are really good if you're looking only to sell to super engaged people, right? So if you're looking really to whittle down your audience, you can target people on like 50, 75, 95% view through rates on the long videos, and those people that end up coming to your site on retargeting ads will probably be super high value customers. Russell Brunson's the guy who does this, so you know it works. I would basically blindly trust anything that Russell Brunson does, just because he's had so much success with ClickFunnels and other things. So let's look at some examples, right? So short 15-second one is this for Autopilot. It's just marketing automation software, and this is their ad. They're just dragging and dropping stuff, showing how the software works, right? So this can give you a sense of what the short little 15-second guys are like. But yeah, so that's that one. Now let's look at a 1 to 3 minute long video, which I think is this guy, or close to it. So he's just standing on his boat, doing his thing, educating about Facebook ads, right?
Hey, John Asraf here. Did you know that Facebook...
So you can see where he is. He's got the Facebook captions. Ooh, it's longer than 3 minutes. I wonder if they changed their policy on that. But anyway, you can see he's got a cool backdrop, just educating on Facebook. It's got a ton of engagement. So just this style works. And then the super long stuff. This is one of my favorite ads that I've ever seen. Max Finn is doing a video testimonial reel. So he actually gives you an ad strategy right here on the post. Awesome piece of valuable content. Awesome piece of valuable content that agitates a problem, and then you retarget 95% view through rates with even more value, right? So he's just giving and giving value these first two stages, and then those who didn't convert, he retargets with a testimonial, video testimonial ad, carousel ad, right? So here he is explaining one of his strategies, and then here are all of the testimonials of people who have used this stuff. So it's a really cool idea, and then he retargets people that don't buy with an awesome offer, right? So it's like, here I'm educating you, here I'm educating you. Okay, now what do you think? Do you want to buy this thing because it works? Look, other people have used it. Okay, you still didn't want to buy. Well, you know that other people have used it and that it works, but now I'm going to actually give you some money off. So if you're buying from a digital marketer, really what you should do is watch all their stuff, go to their website and play with it a lot, but don't buy until you get the discount, right? Because anyone who really knows what they're doing is probably going to give you one. So go through their funnel, walk through all the stages, and then when you get the discount, that's when you should buy. So play the game, right? Play the game. Don't buy at full price. But these are really cool examples of ads, all of them that I think are performing very well, just based off of, just observation and then the reputation that these guys have. So these are the different kinds of videos that you can use, but we're still left with the question of how to target, right? So there are a couple different targeting strategies that people use, and then a couple different retargeting strategies to follow up. So here's my grid, right? Pretty much on Facebook, you're either carpet bombing or you're using niche audiences. And then you're retargeting either with 10-second video views or 75% to 95% views. So your niche audiences can be super small, like the coffee shop. Like if I was going to do ads for $12.15, I would probably spend like $20 a week and run it to audiences of like 500 people, right? Now, if I were going to do something for A-type, if I was going to run an ad to try and sell more clients, then I would just make an audience between 20,000 and 500,000 people big, of people who work in the industry, of people who are window cleaners and do that kind of thing, and then retarget with 10-second video views. And if I was a window cleaner, if I was doing ads for another local business with a little bit more money, a little bit bigger audience, then I would do zip code targeting, right? And then just include the name of the township of the zip code in the ad headline. So this is my grid here. I prefer niche audiences. I think it's a safer bet. Carpet bombing, you really pay up front for it, and then you have to retarget to find the most engaged people. So I would never recommend targeting 95% view through rates with a niche audience, simply because I think then you're losing potential business. The average watch time on Facebook is only 6 seconds, so if someone is twice as engaged as the average user, they're probably interested, right? That's enough to show them another ad. But 95% view through rates, your video has to be good, right? If you're going to target that. So I think you're losing business if you do that. Now, carpet bombing, I would not use 10-second video views because there's so many people, right? A 10-second video view really might not be super useful if you're targeting like the entire state of Ohio. And 95% view through rates would definitely be someone who's engaged, right? So there's just two different philosophies here on how to find your customers, and what the best way to do that is. I think it varies based on the company what the better strategy is, but I tend to use niche audiences myself. So that sums up some targeting and the video strategy, but there is one more thing that you can do, right? So here's our blog strategy. Now the ads are going to be basically the same thing, right? But you don't necessarily have to do video, but the targeting situation is going to be about the same. You just run an ad for an article with some super useful tips, right? So like 7 tips to do X, 5 tips to do this, get more leads with this hack or whatever, and that ad runs to your blog. But in that blog you have lead magnet, and they get the lead magnet at the same time that they give you their email, and then you can follow up to sell them the tripwire and then the core product. So let me show you an example here. Digital Marketer does this with almost all of their articles. This is their business model in general is this strategy. So let's see, Facebook Messenger ads, how to use them in your business. Cool. So they're going to teach you how to do this, and they're going to teach you a ton of different ways that you can do this, but somewhere along the way they are going to sell you with their product. Here it is, right? So you've gotten this far. You are totally interested, and you might actually want some help doing it. So here we go. We'll click on it. It's like, okay, yeah, Facebook Messenger blueprint, totally. And here we are. There's the sell. Now sometimes they do, they make the funnel a little bit longer. This would be like a core product, I think. But you would buy this, and at the same time that you buy this, it'll redirect you to a page with an upsell, which will redirect you to a page with another upsell, which will take you back to their blog. So their whole thing, right, is just this funnel selling method, and then they have retargeting campaigns for anyone that doesn't convert, right? So I'm totally in someone's retargeting campaign right now because I'm on this page. So I'm sure I'll be seeing ads for this. Let's go ahead and talk about tools that you can use to execute these strategies, right? Now, website building is a major frustration for a lot of people, right? The tool that I have been playing around with, that I've been using, is the Divi website builder. I think it's like one of the coolest tools that I've ever seen. It could not be easier to make a website. It makes WordPress website building like Wix, but you keep all the functionality of WordPress and all of the other upsides. CrowdTangle I showed you. Ghostery is this guy up here in the corner. It shows you all the trackers on different pages. Lead Pages is my favorite landing page builder because it's easy to implement tracking. Super customizable. You can save your templates, you can duplicate pages, you can run A/B tests. They have their own analytics built in. You can do lead boxes to collect emails. You can have someone download a PDF, collect their email, and send them to the next page all at the same time. So it's a super powerful thing. Schedule Once is my go-to scheduler, right? I think I still have Calendly embedded on my website, so I need to switch that out. But Schedule Once is it's super cool because you can have a bunch of different calendar event types, a bunch of different calendars synced, and it basically is just auto booking. It can send email notifications, and it can also redirect to the next page once you're done booking, which is big because that's good for tracking. Zapier is automation made easy. I think if you don't know what Zapier is, you should look it up because it'll make you very, very happy. We at A-Type Data had a Zap, they call it, where if someone would fill out the form, it would create the new client record in our CRM, and then it would also notify us in Slack that that had happened. So, and I'm by no means a coder, right? So Zapier makes things easy. Obviously, it's not as customizable as you know would be if you were to do it yourself, but it gets the job done, and it should basically cover all your needs. Ripple is a mobile app that you can use to create cool videos, right? So you basically just whip out your phone, take a video, add some cool effects to it, add some titles, add some text, and then you can upload it straight from Ripple to your social pages. Canva, if you know Canva, it's just a way to get some simple, clean, quick designs. It's not the most professional tool ever, by no means, but if you need something right now, Canva is free, and you should be able to get pretty much what you need for free. Loom is also free. It's a screen recorder. It makes things super, super easy. Like, this is the Loom extension right here in the corner. So I just click on this, and then I can start recording. So that makes it awesome. ManyChat is the best chatbot manager for Facebook. It has a ton of capability. You can build funnels in there. You can hold all your conversations in there. It has analytics. I mean, it just is super, super capable. So I would highly recommend that, especially now that that the Facebook Messenger bot can be embedded on your website, right? It's a huge, huge deal. So these are the tools that I recommend. And then here are the people that I would recommend following in some of the publications. Josh is great for hands-on copywriting and automation. Travis Chambers is really big on social video, so he does longer form social video for big companies, and it performs well, and he's good at placing it in the right context, right? So that's a dude who would probably opt for longer videos, but definitely check him out for video creation. Listen to Gary Vee for new trends and content strategy. He's always up on the next thing. So if you're not listening to him, you should be. You don't need all the motivational stuff necessarily, but if you can catch just a few gems where he says what he thinks will be big next, he hasn't really been wrong, so I would trust him. And then Ty Lopez is perfect for personal branding strategy. Not so much to actually read his content and stuff like that, but just to like study what he does, right? So it's a little bit next level, a little bit meta, but imitation would be a good game to play there. Social Media Examiner, I would recommend if you're not already subscribed. Best Tools, Tactics, and Strategies, Digital Marketer, and WordStream also are big. So this is what I recommend. And with that, guys, that is what I have for you today. Hopefully that gave you some insights on things that you could do, things that you can try. And now any of your more detailed questions, we will open it up. And just before I open it up for questions, I do want to say that all the resources listed in this presentation are at bendahl.com/Cincy. So anything that you feel like you missed, anything that you want to go back and read, it is there. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at ben@bendahl.com. Thank you guys for listening. I hope this was super valuable, and have a great rest of your day.